Hey guys, how's it going? Coming on tonight. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday. Thank you for all of my subscribers that have been with me since the beginning. Maybe you're new, maybe you're just coming on. So today I'm going to be talking about wolves in sheep's clothing. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because for some time now, I can even say before the eclipse, I would even say, I'll be honest, I think like 3-4 months ago, I was when I did one of my channelings, I was talking about how Hollywood was going to be reshaped and everything else. And as I'm seeing that come to pass, I realized that some other channelings I did in the past were always kind of alluding to this musical chairs feeling. So that feeling is resurfacing with me again. And I notice that it comes to feel like, I feel like at this point, I keep seeing this vision over and over again, over and over again. It's like we're going to get freeze framed wherever we stand at the time that this event occurs. And I don't want to say the word event. It's more like a standstill. And why I say it's like musical chairs is because it's the closest I can describe this feeling. Like, you know how like you're going around all the chairs and you're going around all the chairs, and when the music stops, where are you? Are you in the chair or are you standing and stuck? So I keep getting this sensation of like this feeling of some type of form of navigation of self. I keep getting this feeling of like we need to check on our moral gauge at this time. And I'm honestly getting more and more signs, symbols, and synchronicities about this idea. I truly feel like not only did we go through a timeline jump, but I do think aside from that, that there's going to be some form of encapturement. It's like you ever see a speed camera when a car's speeding and then the camera catches the speeder? I feel like that type of energy is being released upon us, and I do feel like we need to be very wary of like our own discernment, who we're paying attention to, who we're giving our energy to, who we're letting distract ourselves. And it's very important because I say this wolves in sheep's clothing idea because it is embodied in every single facet of our life. Like other videos where I've had the whiteboard and I've talked about it in jobs, you know, Sally's always at the water cooler talking some smack, you know. So there's always these people in our lives that we have to be somewhat aware of. And I've been noticing this a lot more in my time, that there are those that are literally speaking with an agenda. You have to be very careful of people that have agendas. You should always be looking out for those that have agendas because you don't know what their agenda is for you. So please understand that sometimes the people may seem like they're using good tactics or good linguistics to get their word across, but at the same time you have to look at what the underlying message is from any, let's say, leader, anybody who's trying to ensure some type of interest in your growth. Because the thing is that sometimes you can get carried away when you're not being present in the actions or the interests that you are concerned with. And I really think in this time, there is this freeze frame idea I'm getting. And I don't know exactly when it's going to hit us, but it's kind of like there's going to be some form of weighing. So I do want to say, please watch out for those with agendas. If they seem to be self-righteous, if they seem to be leading you in a direction that isn't best for you, you are the only one who can decide this for yourself. But please be more aware in this time. I am asking this as your sister in battle here. I really feel like we need to be more cautious and discerning of those that we send our time to, give our time to, and our energy. The other thing I wanted to say is that if you're still consorting or you're still with peoples that are just like snickering, or they despise people, or they are happiest when those are falling, I would say to you that maybe you are not looking at the overall picture of what these people are representing to you. And if you find that you're always in that constant situation where I would honestly say when that time comes, I feel like if you are the type of person who is snickering and sneering at others, you may have to face that in your own downfall, if that makes sense. I feel like I've been seeing a lot of hate mongers. I've been seeing a lot of people out there that are really spewing hatred, and I don't even know if they notice that they're doing it. Like, I truly feel if you're using ageism, if you're using sexism, if you're using race, if you're using status as your quantifier, or you're encapturing statement, or you're encapturing titles, or you're encapturing movement in a sense, you have to be very careful, because you may be joining a hate mob and not even know it. Because what people may not understand is that if you consort with people in groups, that makes you a hate group. If that group gets bigger, it becomes a mob. So you have to understand, if you are following those online or in churches or in any type of group consideration, you have to be very vigilant in this time, because if Jesus is who you truly want to follow, you have to understand the principles of his love. He said he is love, he is the light, he is the way. So if you are being inspired by, let's say, preachers, okay, I see this a lot, preachers or any type of pastors or any type of truth bringers, there is some serious issues if they are using any benefactorial group or minority to segregate or to install a way of thinking that is to kind of belittle or pick on a group of people. I would really consider who you're listening to, because far be it for me. I mean, I have a very small following, but I can honestly say this. I don't care about, what I do care about is the message, okay? What I do care about is that it gets to the ears that need to hear it. But I don't want people to think that I at any moment think that I would trade popularity for soul clarity, okay? Never gonna happen. I could literally grow one person a year, and if I've touched those people and evolved a soul, I'm more interested in that than popularity. So if you are someone who is like a pastor or a preacher or a proclaimer of any kind, and you're using kind of segregative methods to lead your flock, you also, as the leader, may want to consider where your heart lies. Because if Yeshua is your king, you can't be throwing people under the proverbial bus. So please be aware of this in this time. I say this with all humbleness to all my brothers and sisters out there, but I do feel like I'm seeing this a lot. It's like you can't be saying that you're this way, but yet you're using hate to get and attract your persons. It's a very distilling identity, and I would be very cautious of my soul versus those out there that are grouping together with me to propel this hate mongering. But there's that. I would also be very hesitant to listen, let's say, to a person who proclaims to be a doctor but is found to be not a doctor. And the reason why is because they started this relationship with you on a bold-faced lie. So if you put your faith and trust into the fact that this was a doctor, and then they found out farther down the road that they just used the title to maybe gain a following, to gain that trust from people, I would be very leery of continuing my interest in someone like that, because far be it for me to tell you who is a doctor, because there are healers everywhere, but I'm saying the premise of what this person used to get you on board with them is kind of questionable. So if they start off with a lie, they're probably going to end with a lie. So please think about that if you are someone who is engaged with someone who does this practice. Oh man, I am very concerned because I feel like I'm seeing a lot of people out there that are trading in their self-worth for um, likes and admiration and knee-jerk responses from people. And I think it's very worrisome because if you're following people that have kind of self-imposed themselves with titles and they are carrying you away with words that seemingly are not of the highest nature or intent, and simply because of those titles you are following them, please be very wary of this. You know, I say this because there was this old psychology test that I remembered when I was young. I was in college years and years and years ago, and it was this, and I'll just like run it down, but basically this was the premise. They put several male individuals in one room, and doctors or supposed doctors with lab coats came into this room and said, oh, there's another gentleman on the other side. They are rigged up to a contraption that will zap them every time that they answer a question incorrectly. And we designate, as the doctors, designate you to buzz them with this electricity through their body every time they are incorrect. That is your duty. So these gentlemen in this room with these buzzers really truly didn't know who the person was on the other side of that screen. The only thing that they did see or hear, let's put it that way, was the pain level as it increased, the sighs and the cries and the yelps and the screams at one point of these men on the other side of that double-sided window that they could not see. And what happened is that every time the men with the buzzers got a little concerned, the doctors would stand there and say to them, oh, keep going. This is part of it. You have to keep going. There was only one man in that entire time, because of the excruciating yells he heard on the other side, that he stood up and said, no, this is wrong. And he left the whole experiment, the whole test, the whole everything, and walked out of the room. So the other men that were left there decided to get up and also leave because they realized that they were also doing wrong. Now, the point of this story is that this truly was a psychological and sociological test. There were no men on the other side. They were just pre-recorded reactions to different pain thresholds. And the doctors were really not doctors. They were just men in lab coats that were performing a sociological test. So the question remains, if somebody in authority tells you to injure another human being, will you be the person who stands up and says this is wrong? Or will you be the one who follows what the person in authority tells you because they say that that's what you're supposed to do? I think the point of what I'm trying to say is that when you're out there listening to people, including myself, if your barometer is doing some little funky movement because you know deep down inside you're acting and participating in treacherous ways of being on every level, be it what I've said before about sex, gender, race, religion, pretension, it's all a facade. Because the thing is that if it empowers you to make others small, you are going to have no relation to the Messiah that is coming. You're going to have no relation to the Messiah in your heart. Because really and truly in this time, we're having such a hard time with the world disintegrating in front of us. And then we also contribute to this in wars and depravity and just complete and sheer evil sometimes. So if you're on YouTube or if you're on any platform and you're joining in with people that are haters, sure haters. They're all wolves in sheep's clothing, trying to manipulate your energy and what you want to give out to the world, and you're allowing it. Please be very aware of this in this time. I don't know why, but I'm so passionate about this right now because I really feel like there's a lot of eyes watching us. And I truly think that we need to come correct so that at the end of the day, when that music stops, you better be sitting in a freaking chair.